Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Lisa Nichols. I'm a transformation coach for for women in business. And I'm here today on my June Masterclass. And today's class is all about people pleasing. So I have two questions for you to start off. The first one is, how many of you find yourself apologizing, saying, I'm sorry, even when something wasn't your fault? And this kind of comes out of your mouth. And how about this question? When you're asked something, do you actually put the request through any kind of analysis? Asking yourself, do I have time for this? Can I fit it into my schedule? Do I want to do this? Or on the opposite side, do you pretty much just automatically say yes, even when your gut is telling you not to? So which one of you are those? So if you're a people pleaser, you're going to be that second one, and you're going to find yourself saying things like, yeah, I'll do that, or yeah, I can come to that, or yeah, I can help you do that, or you're right, you're right. And here's what you may actually mean when you're saying these things. Yes, although I'm weary and worn out. Yes, but I will resent it. Yes, although it's against my better judgment, my gut is telling me no. Or just simply yes, but only because I'm too afraid to say no. So those are the things you may be saying inside when out of your mouth you agree or you say yes. So what is the driving force behind this people-pleasing behavior? Why do we engage in these behaviors? And I include myself in this for sure. So that is one of the topics for today's masterclass. And so let me really quick go over the agenda. And I'll introduce myself briefly. I'll go through the intention for today's program. I'll talk about 3 secrets and why I'm putting secrets in quotation marks and about people pleasing. And then I'll end with an offer that I chose just for this masterclass. So would that be okay if I gave an offer at the end of this class? Is that okay, everyone?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So let me really quick introduce myself. Here's a little bit about me. Like I said at the beginning, I'm a transformation coach and an EFT tapping practitioner for women in business. And I want all women entrepreneurs who are struggling with frustration and questioning their abilities to drop their self-doubt, find their confidence and their courage, and create the business that truly lights them up, that works for them and not them working for the business. So it's all about banishing limitations and embracing the possibility of success. So I think of myself as a secret weapon against procrastination. It's a sneaky little devil that can sabotage us in our reaching our business dreams. And the end result of coaching with me is to have more time for what matters to you, less stress, and a clear path to realizing your business goals. So my background includes being a vice president at some Fortune 100 companies and being a journalist. And I'm also a 2-time best-selling author of EFT tapping books. So my intention for today's masterclass is for you to have at least 2, hopefully way more than that, aha moments that will have you thinking and feeling differently about people pleasing. And that this will then lead you to changing that habit, being able to put aside the people pleasing and just disappearing it from your life and finding a different way that works, a way that is more supportive of you and who you are. So how would life be different if you didn't feel a need to people please. So here are just a few ways that your life could dramatically improve if you are no longer a people pleaser. First one is you will be more immune to rejection or disapproval from others. You will see their behavior not as a rejection of you or a testament to about who you are, and more about them living their own lives, having their own opinions, that really have nothing to do with you. Another way is you will have empathy for others, and at the same time realize that it's not your job to make sure that everyone is okay. The third way is that disappointing others will not feel so scary or something that is just not, you just can't do it. It's as if your survival depends on you not disappointing others. You'll be able to set limits and boundaries naturally. Approval from others will just be like a nice to have, you won't rely on it quite so much to either determine your actions or make you feel good about yourself. You will desire and find relationships where the giving is balanced. Hopefully you'll work the right amount of hours. There can be other reasons why you might overwork, but hopefully you'll work the right amount of hours. You won't put so much effort in trying to please everyone, and you'll have energy for other things in your life. You'll take good care of yourself in all aspects, including your mind, body, and soul. And you will know how to be kind and generous and helpful at a healthy level. So that's a lot, right? And does that sound good or better than good? I know I want all of those in for my life. So let's talk about the 3 secrets about people pleasing that will help you understand yourself, why you follow this pattern, and how you can start to move away from it. And really quick, the reason I put secrets in quotes is because I think as we go through these, you will get that hit that this is truth and that you actually do know this inside. You just hadn't thought of it this way, or you had other thoughts that kind of overlaid the actual truth of these. So they're not really secrets. They're just finding a different way or a different perspective of what people pleasing is all about. So, excuse me. The first secret is the why. So why do people become people pleasers? And they start out as parent pleasers. And parent can mean anyone who raised you, to be a grandparent, a guardian, anyone like that. So it's especially true for children who don't have a stable connection with their parents. Or, hi, Candy, nice to have you here. I'm going to have you both go on mute. Let's see. Let me mute you both. There you go. Great. Thank you. So children, especially who don't have a stable connection with their parents or even just one parent, will do just about anything to try to create that sense of connection and closeness. So a lot of times these are parents who are too worried and focused on themselves and their lives to pay much attention to their child, or they're able to see things only from their own point of view. So they mislabel or misinterpret their child's signals and feelings. So a narcissist parent would certainly fall into this. And it would be common for children of narcissistic parents to be people pleasers. But it can just be anyone who is not emotionally mature, any parent who is not emotionally mature. For example, they might withdraw connection, like giving you the silent treatment if they get upset, or they'll rage because they're not emotionally mature enough to deal with their feelings in a healthy way. Parents who are ignorant of child development and normal stages of child development and can make what is natural and normal behavior for the child and the age that they are seem shameful, and they can like withdraw their approval when the child quote misbehaves when really they're being age normal, age appropriate. So these are all the types of parenting that can make a child learn to bond. So if you think of the for flight, flee, freeze responses, there is a fourth, and that is the fawn, and that is to become a people pleaser. So what are people doing when they're fawning? They're actually trying to get approval, and they're trying to protect the parents' feelings so that the parents don't go off and the child can feel safe. So because the parent is inconsistent in terms of being available and connected to the child, if at all, sometimes the child actually acts more like a parent than the parent actually does. They learn to take care of things, to try to harmonize and balance and make sure that they tiptoe on eggshells so that they can make sure that things stay calm. So the ways they do this, in addition to saying yes, even when they don't want to, and apologizing a lot, they'll start doing things like only telling people what they think they want to hear. They being overly concerned with doing things perfectly. So they also become perfectionists. Avoiding confrontation, being the mediator or the harmonizer in the family, trying to guess what others want, and then ignoring what they themselves want. So these are all behaviors of people pleasing that start as children when we need to feel safe and connected with the parent figure. So that was the first secret, which is why and how we become parent pleasers. The second is what's going on behind the scenes for people pleasers. So what we see on the outside are people who are very giving, who are very competent, who can take care of everything, who will agree to everything. They're the people, your go-to people, and you rely on them. And they just seem to always be involved in taking care of things and not disagreeing, just agreeing to whatever comes up. And so that's what we see on the outside, but what's really going on the inside? I remember a mom that was the mom of a daughter of a girl in my daughter's class when my daughter was in elementary school. And this mom was very intimidating to me because she was always dressed perfectly. Her daughter was always dressed perfectly. Her daughter was well behaved. They lived in a beautiful home. It just seemed like they had it all. And years later, I found out that she actually had a very controlling husband, an abusive husband. And she was this way because she was trying to keep things safe with her husband. And she ended up dying of breast cancer in her 40s. And I wouldn't doubt breast cancer is associated with heartbreak. And I wouldn't doubt that her early death was associated with living in this environment of having to squelch herself down, of having to be the people pleaser, of having to always trying to do what's right, what the other person thinks is right, but yet never getting acknowledgement that she did it, of all of her efforts and everything that she did. So I had no idea what her life looked like was really like. I only saw it from the outside. And so this is the same with people pleasers. It's not all the sunshine and butterflies that you might think that it is, but there's some really deep stuff. So what's going on is they can be deathly afraid of making mistakes. They try to be perfect so that they don't cause anyone stress, so they can be seen as entirely self-sufficient and competent. And they don't make themselves vulnerable to criticism or catch someone's attention. So when you're trying to be perfect, you're trying to avoid mistakes, you're actually trying to avoid all of these consequences that you think will happen if you make a mistake. Another thing that might be going on is they're worrying about being rejected. So their giving is really an avoidance strategy, trying to avoid rejection rather than coming from a place of giving. It's more of a compulsion to avoid having someone reject them. So their kindness can also come from a need to be needed. And they need to be needed because that's the only way they know how to create connection. They don't believe inside that they are worthy of just having someone connect with them just for who they are, but they think it's only for what they can give to others. They think they're only loved for what they can give to others. So they don't have a true sense of their own value as a person. So they can also be crippled by fears of conflict. They can literally look and feel like a deer in headlights when a difference of opinion comes up, because they literally can't handle it. They don't know how to deal with conflict, where they can stand up for themselves and manage to address the conflict with the other person. It can actually feel like death to them to have be in a conflict with someone else. So here's something else that's going on behind the scenes, which is that they take responsibility for other people's feelings and reactions. Like, someone can say, "Oh, you make me so mad." And you believe that you make them mad when you can't. They get mad on their own. They have their own reaction to your actions and words. Some people will get mad at something you say. Somebody else you can say the same thing to and they won't get mad. And so that is like proof that it's not what you say, it's how they're reacting. But the people pleasers feel like they can't let anyone down. So they say yes to tasks and responsibilities. They don't actually need to. Like, for example, if I go to somebody's house and they're giving me food, like a dessert, I don't feel comfortable saying no, thank you, even though I'm trying not to eat sugar and sugar makes me feel bad. But it's just easier and I don't want to hurt their feelings. So I go ahead and say yes and I eat it and I just feel bad later. That is people please. And when people do this, they can seem like they're happy about it, but they can actually end up feeling resentful. And they can resent you. If you ask them for something and they say yes, they can actually end up resenting you, even though they're the ones that say yes. So they won't tell you they feel resentful. They'll just keep it to themselves. They might complain, maybe, like, "Oh, I don't have time for this," but then they still do it. But they won't tell you that you're the problem, even though they think it. Okay, so another thing that they do, they end up actually not following through on all of their commitments because they overcommit, because they won't say no. They won't be honest and say, "I really can't do that right now." So they end up actually letting people down, which is what they're trying not to do when they say yes, but they're so overwhelmed. sometimes they end up procrastinating because their plate's so full, they're so overwhelmed, they just can't physically do it all, or they go into procrastination. They go into Netflixing or scrolling on their phone. And then their reputation suffers because people learn not to trust them. People will actually talk about you if you do this and say, oh yeah, I can't refer to them, or yeah, I can't ask them to do anything, because they'll say they'll do it and then they won't do it. So your reputation will actually suffer when you're trying to make people happy. So, and the last thing that I'll talk about in terms of this, what's actually going on for people pleasers, is they are ignoring their own values, their own legitimate needs, their own goals, to the point where those may even be buried. They may not even be in touch at all with who they really are and what they value and what they need and what their goals are. If you ask them, they honestly won't know. So that's why people pleasers, if you'll say, well, what would you like to do today? I don't know. You choose. Because they have such a hard time making their own decisions because they're so used to pleasing someone else and someone else, meeting someone else's desires. So having a hard time making decisions is a trait. You're afraid of making the wrong decision and upsetting someone. And so that's a trait of people pleasers. So that's the secret too of what's actually going on behind the eyes of people pleasers. So the third secret, the last secret I'm going to talk about, is that releasing this cycle, this way of being, can seem very, very overwhelming. It can feel like this is who you are and how you operate in the world, but it is doable because it's not who you are deep down. It's a coping mechanism that you developed to try to keep yourself feeling safe, as I talked about earlier. So there are some tactics that you can use to start changing your behavior. So I'm going to go through a couple. One is to stall before you say yes. If someone asks you to do something and your knee-jerk reaction is to say yes, but your gut is saying no, or you really don't know if you want to do it, just ask for some time. Just say, hey, can I get back to you on that? Sometimes it's just the pressure of the moment when you're in front of someone that will have you saying yes. But if you just wait a while and allow your own answer to come up, give yourself time for your own answer to come up, then if you say yes, that's great. Then you know you're saying yes from the right place. But if you say no, then you know it's the true answer for you. So just get enough details for you to know if you'd want to do this or not. And just say, hey, can I get back to you tomorrow or next week? So that's one tactic. Another is to find one small place where you can start to not people please. Identify one thing you've taken on that is not critical, that is not really yours to do, that will free up some time for yourself, and then cancel it. And just say, oh, you know what? As it turns out, I'm not able to do that. I don't offer to reschedule. Don't apologize. Don't worry about what are they going to do, because it's not on you. It's not your responsibility to fix it. If somebody asks you to do something and you're unable to, it is their responsibility then to go out and find someone else to do it themselves, or just not have it done. There are lots of things that we give our time and attention to that nothing would change. The world would not end. Your life would not end. You would not have no one would have a different opinion of you if it doesn't happen. We just think we need to agree to whatever, request comes our way. And it's not true. They don't all need to be done. So the third thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to talk about the real one, the one that's, I think, is the best way to go about eliminating people pleasing. The third tactic is, while no is a complete sentence, it can just feel too rude. Even if you just say no, thank you, no, I can't do that, it can just feel rude or unsafe to tell someone no. So the idea is to write down and even practice, like look in the mirror and practice saying it, or just when you're walking around doing things, practice saying some lines that will feel natural for you to say, such as, oh, I'd love to help, but my calendar is full, maybe next time. Or, oh, I'm not able to commit to doing that right now. And try really hard not to start or end with, I'm sorry. You can, if it makes you feel better, if it makes it possible for you to say no, then say, I'm sorry. Just say, oh, I'm sorry. No, I can't do that. Or I gave some other examples earlier of how to say no or how to cancel an obligation that you made. And I just want to make sure you know that just because you said you would do something does not mean you can't change your mind. You absolutely can change your mind. So those are the three things: stalling before you say yes, finding one small thing that you can cancel or just let go of or just not do, and practicing saying some sentences that feel natural for you to say. So, of course, for me, I'm an EFT tapping practitioner. I think the number one way to eliminate people pleasing is EFT tapping. And there are many ways to work on the internal dialogue and the underlying beliefs and thought patterns that you've created over the years that have got you stuck in the rut of people pleasing. And EFT tapping is one of them. So it works quickly, it works effectively to take the power out of past traumatic experiences so they no longer bother you, and you no longer believe the crap that you came to believe based on those experiences. So you can replace old ways of being with more supportive ones. So to practice this, I'm going to do a quick EFT tapping session on the feeling of being a people pleaser, on that idea of being a people pleaser. So if you don't know EFT tapping, it's been around since the 80s. It's a modality many therapists are using in their practices. And then there are certified EFT tapping practitioners like myself that work with people to rewire the brain and what the stored memories and emotions that we have based on traumatic experiences from our past. So we're going to learn it by doing it, okay? And I'll just give you a couple of pointers. We always start with the setup statement, and what we're doing when we're doing EFT tapping is we're tapping on parts of our bodies. So the setup statement, we're tapping right here on the side of the hand and below this, the pinky finger. And we always start with even though, and then you state your problem, and then some kind of wrapping up statement that says, you know what, this is how I feel right now, and I'm just going to accept that. So you could say, I'm open to coming to peace around this, or I'm willing to forgive myself as best I can, or this is how I feel, and I honor that. Or the one I always use, pretty much always, is I deeply love and completely accept myself. So from the side of the hand, we tap on other parts of the body. And I just want to tell you a couple of them. You'll follow along with me as we tap. The ones I want to tell you about are top of head, tip of eye, under nose, on the crease of the chin, the collarbone point. So it's just below the collarbone. Like here's my collarbone, and just below it is a little soft spot. And then you won't be able to see me do this, but the next one is below the rib, the bottom of the ribs. And the next one after that is under your arm, this is like 3 or 4 inches below your armpit. Okay, and then we do top wrist and bottom wrist. So you'll learn these as we do them. So go ahead and tap. Okay, before we start tapping, first things first, when you think of people pleasing and the feelings that come up when you need, when you want to say no, when someone asks you for something and you want to say no, but everything in your being is saying yes because you can't upset someone. Or if you're agreeing with someone, yeah, you're right, just to make peace, just to keep the peace. Or if you know that your boundaries are being overridden, but you can't, you don't know how to set those boundaries and make sure and hold them. If you're apologizing, if you're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, even though the other person did whatever it was. So when you think of those times when you're people pleasing and the feelings that come up, the frustration, the fear, the anxiety, on a scale of 0 to 10, what number would you give the intensity of these feelings? With 0 being no intensity whatsoever, and 10 being highly, highly intense. So write down your number and then we'll start tapping. So follow along with me. We're going to, like I said earlier, we're going to start on our the side of the hand with the setup statement. And so just go ahead and follow along with me tapping and repeat, hopefully out loud with me, what I say. And I'll just pause for a moment so you can say it. So side of the hand, even though I tend to say yes to everything, agree with everyone, not keep my boundaries, and apologize for no reason, I deeply love and completely accept myself. Let's go to the top of the head. When I think of disagreeing with someone, top of the eye, or telling someone no, side of the eye, or letting someone down, under the eye, risking their disapproval, under the nose, I feel anxious. The crease of the chin, my heart beats a little faster. The collarbone, I get afraid. Bottom of the ribs, it almost feels like my very survival is at stake. Under the arm, I'm afraid of how they will respond. Top of the wrist, what they will say to me. Bottom of the wrist, what they will think of me. Top of the head, what they might do to me. Top of the eye, I start to feel bad about myself. Side of the eye, I don't have a right to do what I want. Under the eye, and not what someone else wants. Under the nose, it's important for me to make others happy. On the chin, that's what I do. On the collarbone, I try to keep everything harmonious, balanced, and safe. Bottom of the ribs, I'm always walking on eggshells. Under the arm, trying not to upset anyone. Top of the wrist, I'm a people pleaser. Bottom of the wrist, it's my way of coping with life. Top of the head, of keeping myself feeling safe. Top of the eye, I honor myself for being a people pleaser. Side of the eye, it's kept me alive. Under the eye, but it doesn't serve me. under the nose, and it doesn't serve everyone who I'm trying to keep happy. On the chin, it can create codependent relationships. On the collarbone. And I don't get a chance to do what I want. Bottom of the ribs, to meet my own needs. Under the arm, I'm ready to release the need to appease others. Top of the wrist, I can choose to be kind and helpful. Bottom of the wrist, but I want to do it in a balanced and healthy way. Top of the head, I want my own needs to matter too. Top of the eye, I give myself permission to take care of my own needs. Side of the eye, and not just those of others. Under the nose, I'm going to be a me pleaser from now on. Okay, so let's stop there. And now ask yourself again, on that scale of 0 to 10, what number would you give it? With 0 being no intensity and 10 being highly intense. Hopefully it went down. If it went up, it just means that some things are coming up for you to heal. If it went down, but it didn't get to 0, that just means there's still some other aspects for you to tap on. And this is very common. So you might have started at an 8 and maybe you went down to a 5. So what you would do now is you would sit down and ask yourself, what do I still feel about people pleasing? What still comes up for me? And then you would do tapping on those things and keep tapping until you actually get down to a 0. So that's the agenda for today, other than I promised you I have a special offer that I came up with just for today. And the offer is, or just, I would say not for today, but for anyone watching the masterclass now or who watches it later on the replay. If you're watching this, my offer is that you can get my program called Overcoming Fear of Making a Mistake. And it's just $27. And when you purchase that, I will also gift you access to my program that is Overcoming Fear of Making the Wrong Decision. And if you remember from earlier, fear of making a mistake and fear of making the wrong decision are two of the things that are going on underneath the appearance of the people pleasers. There are two things that can actually be driving the people pleasing behavior. So when you eliminate your fear of making a mistake and fear of making the wrong decision, it gives you opportunity to be more yourself, to make mistakes without fear of retribution or judgment. It allows you to make decisions. This is so true that you will literally make better decisions because you will be able to take in more information. You'll be able to better weigh the pros and cons of a decision. You'll be able to see for yourself and feel for yourself what makes sense to you and not just let other people make the decision or follow along with a decision somebody's already made. So these are two key components of overcoming people pleasing permanently and for good and forever. And I'm serious about that. You can stop being a people pleaser. So the overcoming fear of making a mistake, this is what's included in it. It includes 8 videos plus transcripts and downloadable audio that walks you through introduces you to the fear of making a mistake and walks you through a tapping on on eliminating it. So it also includes instruction on EFT tapping and a helpful quick reference guide for you to have at home. And finally, it comes with 3 months of group coaching with me, once a month, where you can get on Zoom with me and ask any questions you have. You can ask it can be about fear of making a mistake. It can be about fear of making the wrong decision. It can be anything that you have about questions you have about people pleasing or procrastination for my overall program, which is called Stop Procrastinating Now. So when you purchase this, you can email me at lisa@tappingintoyourtrueself and let me know that you want the offer from today's Masterclass. And I will send you links for free access to the Overcoming Fear of Making the Wrong Decision. And I just want to say one more thing about people pleasing. You're not doing people any favors, really, when you people please. You're not allowing them to see the real you so that you can have a real, genuine, authentic relationship with them. You are taking on things that aren't yours to do. And so you are depriving others of doing what it should be theirs to do, of participating. You can end up resenting people through no fault of their own. They didn't twist your arm to say yes. You said yes on your own accord, but then you feel resentful of them. So you're denying the world your genuine self and what you would create in the world if you weren't so busy trying to make everyone else happy. And of course, you're not doing yourself any favors. We talked about that earlier. So I'm going to put the link for signing up for tapping purchasing the fear of overcoming. I can't even say it right because I'm doing 2 things at one time. Let me do that really quick. Let me put this in the chat. There it is. That's the link to get the Overcoming Fear of Making a Mistake for just $27, which will come with, it's a BOGO today. You can also get Overcoming Fear of Making the Wrong Decision. So that's it for today. We're coming up on our hour, but I think we have just a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'll unmute you, and just if you have any questions or comments. Oh, there you go. So any thoughts or comments or questions from today? No? Covered it all? Okay, great. Well, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to stop recording now, and I will send out the replay to everyone who signed up and who's on the call today. Thanks again for being here.